Morning as we go to the Chitas of today. We're holding a Parshat of Shpatim, which is the book of Jewish law, which is on chapter 22, verse number 4. Yivai ish sadeh. If a man leads his animal into a field, like Kedem, or into a vineyard, v'shilach as beirei, and he lets his animal loose to eat, and the animal destroyed the other guy's field, ate other guy's field. Meitiv sadeu umeitiv kaimer yishalem. Then he has to pay from the best of his fields. Here we see the Torah says when you pay certain things, you need to pay from the best of your fields. And the best of your vineyard, you have to pay. Rashi says, with terms over here, we're talking about when one animal does destructive acts. He leads his animal into the neighbor's field or vineyard, and it damages the property in one of the two ways, either by sending his animal or by eating, because the animal can destroy in two different ways. It can destroy by its foot, it can destroy by its tooth. Our sages explain v'shilach refers to the damage made by the treading of the foot, v'shilach. Uvir, when it says uvir, is a damage by the tooth. Shen v'regel. Animal, that's the two basic ways of the animal destroying somebody else's property, which destroys somebody's property. V'steyacha means in another person's field. Meitav sadei yishalem, the judge assesses the damage, and if the owner of the animal comes to pay him, the owner of the land, the amount of damages of the land, he must pay him from the best of his fields. If his damage was worth a seller, he must give him the value of the seller, what's called in the Gemara terminology, idios, the best of his fields. Scripture teaches us that the injured party, they assess the damage with the best land. Certain things are paid with the best land, certain things are paid with the middle land, and certain things can be paid with ziburius. So we have in the Gemara, we have idios, the best, baininus, the middle, like a bainini, and ziburius, the worst land. Verse number 5. If a fire goes forth and finds thorns, v'nechal gadish, and a stack of grain, akama, or a standing grain, asada, or the field be consumed. Guy destroyed. He started a fire, and he let the fire go. Yishalem hamavid esabeda. The one who ignited the fire shall surely pay for the damages of the fire. Now she said, even by itself, I started a fire and it went out. Kaitzim is thorns. V'nechal gadish, that is the fire caught into the thorns until it reached a stack of grain or standing grain still attached to the ground. Ayisada, that is the fire scorched the furrow that he had plowed, and now he had to plow it a second time. Shalim is shalim. Although he ignited in his own property, and it spread by itself through thorns that are found, he's liable to pay because he did not guard his burning coals, so that it would not go forth and inflict damage. Now the Torah goes into the laws of Shemrim, the laws of a watchman. Meaning, when I give somebody something to watch, Abba Shemrim, there are 4 watchmen in the Torah law. Shemechinam, an unpaid watchman. A Shemesachar, a paid watchman. A Seicher, a renter, is a watchman. And a Shoel, a person that borrows something, is a watchman. Those are going to learn the laws of the 4 Shemrim. If a man gives his neighbor money or an article to safekeep him, to watch for him, and it was stolen from a man's house, they come back to ask back for your thing, and the guy says it was stolen. If the thief is found, Yishalem Shnayim, he has to pay double. According to his words, right? Guy says it was stolen. The thief shall pay twofold value to the one whose object it was. If the ganav was not found, and the guy says it was stolen, then the homeowner shall approach the judges. It means he has to make a vow, as you'll soon see. That he did not touch, he did not lay a hand. He's an unpaid watchman. And since he's an unpaid watchman, he's not allowed to touch the object. He didn't touch the object. He didn't put it on his table. He didn't use it. Rashi says, and the custodian, who is the owner of the house, comes. The judge, he brought to the judge, and they swear to him that he did not lay his hand upon the property. He didn't touch the property. Because if he touched the property, he's called a pesheya, as you'll see the next verse. I'll call dvar pesha, on any sinful word. Al asher, whether it's an ox. Al chamer, whether it's a donkey. Al aseh, whether it's a lamb. Al salma, whether it's a garment. Al kol aveda, on any lost object. Here you have one of the klal, prat, klal. It's one of the teachings of the Torah. Klal, prat, al kol dvar pesha. Anything, then he goes to prat, ox, donkey, sheep, garment. Al kol aveda. Klal, prat to klal. One of the 13 ways the Torah in the Dreshes, the way you expound upon the Torah. Asher yemeh ki hu zeh, which the guy concerning will say, this is it, this is what happened. It was stolen. Both parties shall come to the judges. God, whoever the judges declare guilty, Yishalim Shnayim Ledeu shall pay twofold to his neighbor. So Rashi, what we're talking over here? We're talking that he found lying in his oath. He made a vow that he didn't use the object. And we have two witnesses that come and say the guy was the goblet that the guy gave him to watch was on his table every Friday night. Well, that's abuse of the object because he gave it to you to watch. An unpaid watchman. You're not allowed to touch the object. You're not allowed to take use of the object. So his vow was a lie. He made a vow that was not true, that he didn't touch the object. For a witness testified that he himself, or let's say he said that it's stolen, right? That's his taina. The watchman said it was stolen. Well, we find out, we have witnesses that he didn't, that he has it. So he's the ganav. Now he has to pay double. The judges declare him guilty because of his testimony of the witness. He pays double. Now she says the text teaches us that if he puts forth a claim concerning an item entrusted to him, saying that it was stolen from him, and it's discovered through witnesses that he himself stole it, he must make twofold restitution. When is this so that a person needs to pay double? Only if he swore, made a vow, that he did not take it, and afterwards witnesses came and testified that he did take it. For so have the rabbis of blessed memory interpreted, and the homeowner approached the judges. This approaching means he made an oath that the custodian swore that the article was stolen. We say that he approaches for an oath, or perhaps it means he approached it only for litigation. In this case, if he comes to litigate, and he denies any responsibility by saying the object was stolen, then he's immediately liable for twofold restitution if witnesses come and testify that he has in possession. The answer is that since the expression laying a hand is mentioned here, and below laying a hand is mentioned also, the oath of the Lord shall be between the two of them, provided that he did not lay a hand upon his neighbor's property. Just as laying a hand, further denotes an oath, so does laying a handwritten denotes an oath. So there's a concept over here that he's obligated. In essence, we make him take two oaths. It's called the Gilgal Shvua. We make him take two oaths, that he, first of all, that it was stolen, and number two, that he didn't touch it. When does he pay kefil? When he is caught with witnesses, he pays kefil. He pays double. Let's say he makes an oath, and then he comes on his own and he says, "I took it. I'm sorry. I apologize. I took the object." He doesn't pay kefil. Is there, according to its verse simple meaning, concerning with the witness who will say that this is it, about which he swore was stolen, but really it's in your possession. The pleas of both parties must be brought before the judges, and they, the judges, will interrogate the witnesses. If they, the witnesses, are acceptable, and they, the judge, declare the custodian guilty, he must pay twofold. If they declare the witnesses guilty, namely they were found conclusively, they must pay twofold to the custodian. If they find that they were liars, they were not there, then they have to pay double to the custodian. Our rabbis of blessed memory interpret that this is it, means that the judges do not demand an oath in him, the custodian, unless he admits part the claim against him, saying, "I owe you this much, but the rest was stolen from me." So in essence, he agrees that there is some, he has some liability, but not complete liability. Yitin ish, as to the Eyo Chamer or Sher, if a man gives his neighbor a donkey, a bull, or a lamb, v'chol behema, or any animal. Here you have a prat and a klal. Lishma, to watch, or mace, and it died. A nishbar, or broke a limb of the animal. A nishba, or was captured. Somebody took it, and somebody stole it. Ain raya, and no one sees it. No one saw it. No witnesses. What are we talking about? This sounds like the first pasuk. So therefore Rashi comes and says, the first section, the first pasuk, stated concerning an unpaid watchman. Therefore, an unpaid watchman is exempt. The Torah exempts him, the custodian, from theft. If I make the vow that it was stolen from me, finished, I'm potter. As written, if it was stolen from the man's house, if the thief is not found, the owner approaches the judges for an oath. Thus we learn that it exempts him with an oath. An unpaid watchman is potter b'gneva v'aveda. An unpaid watchman is exempt if it was stolen. And he makes the vow that it was stolen, and he walks free. This section, the next verse, this verse we learn, is talking about a paid custodian. Yankel paid Shimon to watch his thing. Now it's a whole different law. Therefore, he's not exempt if it was stolen. A paid watchman needs to make sure that something's not stolen. And if it was stolen, he's not exempt. He has to pay. As is written, but if it was stolen from him, he shall pay. In verse 11. But in the case of an accident beyond his control, that's what it says. It died. You gave me your cow to watch. It died. You gave me your nishba. Nishba means it was captured. Something out of my control. Captured by bandits. Not it was stolen. It was captured. So how can I control that? Can I control armed bandits came to my house and robbed the whole house? What should I do? I couldn't protect it. I was not going to give my life up for your object. And no one was here to testify concerning the matter. If he swears that this is the case, then he's exempt. So here we have the next law, Shemer Sachar, a paid watchman. An unpaid watchman is not responsible for anything. Thing was stolen from him, got lost out of his house. He's potter as long as he makes the vow. A paid watchman is responsible when something's stolen from him. It's only not responsible if an action happened out of his control. So therefore, the verse says 10, the oath of the Lord shall be between both of them. That he did not lay a hand upon his neighbor's property. And the owner accepts the vow, and he doesn't have to pay. Now she says again, he must swear that's so. And he says beyond his control, and that he did not lay a hand upon it to use it for himself. Still not to touch an object that somebody gave it to watch. Because if he laid a hand upon it and afterwards something beyond his control happened, he is liable. So both a shem mechinam and a shem mesachar are liable. A paid watch and unpaid watch are liable if the person used the object. We have witnesses that say he used the object. And the owner needs to take the vow. And he has to pay. So there's really two vows. He has to make the vow that the thing was taken away from him out of his control by a paid watchman, and that he did not touch the object. Verse 11, if it was stolen from him by a paid watchman, so if he comes to court and says, I'm sorry, the thing was robbed from me, he has to pay. But if it was torn apart, guy says a lion came at night and killed your calf, killed your cow. Your ate, brings a witness to it. And the torn one shall not pay. Now she says in Tarav through a ferocious beast. So you shall bring witness to testify that the animal was torn apart in the way that was out of his control, and he's exempt. The torn one shall not pay. What does that mean? The Torah does not say for a torn one shall not pay, but for the torn one shall not pay. For one type of torn animal, he pays. And for another type of torn animal, he doesn't pay. For an animal torn apart by a cat, a fox, a marten, he must pay because you should have protected it. But not for an animal torn by a wolf, a lion, a bear. Guy says a bear broke into the thing. What am I supposed to do? A lion came into the field, killed your animal. What am I supposed to do? I'm supposed to fight the lion. So therefore, the proof is it's written, if it dies, breaks a limb, or captured. Just as with death, he cannot save it, so too with breaking a limb and captivity. That one, he cannot save it. But in the case of less ferocious beasts, like a fox, since a shepherd could have saved his charge, he's liable. So if a shepherd, also the shepherd's a paid watchman. The person's a shepherd, it's not a sheep, he's a paid watchman. So if he comes and says a lion ate the sheep, what should he do? But he comes and says a cat came and ate the sheep. Well, you should have, a fox came, you should have protected it. So that's a paid watchman and an unpaid watchman. Now we have a person that borrows. If a person borrows an animal from his neighbor, and they break, and the animal got a limb broken or dies, the owner is not with him, Shalim, he has to pay. Now she says this comes to teach us that a borrower is liable for incidents beyond his control. A borrower is always responsible. Because a borrower is somebody who takes something from somebody to use. So I took the cow to plow with. I asked you to lend me your cow to plow with. I'm responsible even for unforeseeable things. The only way I'm not responsible in Bail of Imeir. The owner of the bull is not with the borrower doing his work. If the owner was there when we were doing the work and he got hurt, I'm not responsible. Because the owner was there, even though he was there at the time of my borrowing. It was time I borrowed it. In Bailavina, lo yeshalem. If the owner is with him, he shall not pay. That's the only way he gets out of the responsibility. If it's hired, it comes for its hire. Now we have the word, the renter. Because a borrower is buying it for free. A renter is renting it for money. Question, what is a renter? In Balavino, whether he, the animal's owner, was with him at the bar during the same work, or he was doing a different work. I mean, the bar was there. If the animal owner was with him, the bar at the time of the loan, he, the owner, need not be with him at the time the limb was broken, or the animal died, to make him exempt from payment. If he hired the animal, if the bull was not hired, he's a renter, hired, and it came to be hired into the hands of the hirer for a fee, not through lending, and he, the hirer, does not have complete benefit for the animal, for he used it through its hire, and he does not have the stature of borrower to be liable for acting beyond his control. Torah, however, did not specify what is the status of a renter, whether he's judged as an unpaid custodian or as a paid custodian. And we have a big machlekes, a big argument in the Gemara. What is a renter? Therefore, the sages are different concerning how does a hire pay in the case of an accident. The Meir says he's like an unpaid custodian, and he is not liable even if his thing was stolen, because I paid for it. I'm giving you money. That's the point. You got money from your animal. So since you got paid, it's like it's still yours. So it's not like mine because you got paid for it. When I borrow something, then the thing comes mine. I take responsibility total. But what if I'm paying to you to the object, I'm renting the object. So therefore, a mayor holds, it's like a non-paid custodian. Rabbi Yehuda says it's like a paid custodian. And either way, you will be responsible, according to Rabbi Yehuda, if the thing is stolen from you, if you're a renter. You're only not responsible if an unforeseen accident happened to you in your situation. And here, just learn the 4 custodians in the law of the Torah. Bashem, big Gemara on it. You can go and learn the Gemara. Oba Metzia. Verse 15. If a man seduces a virgin whom he is not betrothed to, person has sex before marriage. He has a relationship with a woman. This is the way the Torah controls humans. 2 people that have a relationship before marriage. He shall provide her with a marriage contract. That means if she wants to marry him, he has to marry her. She says, Yefati seduce, he speaks to her heart until she yields to him. And so I make to say Yishtadel. Rashi says he shall stipulate for her a dowry. He has to marry her. As the custom of man for a wife, and he writes to her a ksuba, and he shall marry her. If the father refuses to give it to her, we're talking about she's underage. He shall weigh out money according to dowry of virgins. Now she says, which is a fixed 50 silver shekel. In the case of one who sizes a virgin, of course, he lies with her. It said that man shall lay with her, shall give the maiden 50 shekel. That's later in Deuteronomy. So Torah, if she wants to marry, if a man has a relationship with a woman and she wants to be married to him, he cannot divorce her. He's to be married to her. So therefore, shouldn't have a relationship before you get married. Verse 17. Machshefa sorcerer, you're not allowed to let live. Elatamid Asher shall be executed by the court. The law applies equal to both males and females. So why does the Torah say it in a female will, Machshefa? But the Torah talks the usual. Those who would practice sorcery will usually women. But it doesn't really make a difference whether it's a man or a woman. Anybody who lies with an animal, bestiality, meisuma shall be put to death. Now she says, beskila, stoning a male who has cardinal relationship with an animal, is just as liable as a female who has carnal relation with an animal. Because it's written the blood of them both. So therefore, even though it's masculine over here, it doesn't make a difference whether it's a man or a woman. Verse 19. Whoever slaughters, sacrifice to gods, it shall be destroyed. Bilti Lashem Levada, you only allowed to bring a sacrifice to God. Ashi says the Lekim over here means Laveda Zara, to a pagan deity. To vocalize the Lekim, the Lametiri, over here, it would be it would have to specify which deity, and it would have not need to explain the written achedim, other gods. Now that it says lelikim, it doesn't say achedim, it does not need to have to specify which god are meant. Because every lamed and base and a hey prefix into a word is vocalized with the chatav, meaning a shva, like limelech, to a king, limidbar, to a desert, li'ir, to a city. One must specify to which king, to which desert, to which city. But now that it says, similarly to both lamed, beid and lam, limelachim, to a king, litigam, to the festival. So now the lalikim, meaning with a patach, means all gods, even the divine. But when it said vocalized with a patach, la melech, to the king, la melech, la midbar, to the desert, la to the city. So it means it's to any king or to any gods. Yechram, Rashi says yumas means he's put to death. If you bring a sacrifice to another, it's idolatry. Now, why does it say he shall be destroyed? Why didn't it say he put to death? Is the death penalty not mentioned elsewhere? You take the man, the woman, and you put him to death. Since the Torah is not specified for which type of worship he's liable to death, so you might say that all types of worship, one's liable to death. Torah came to specify you here who slaughtered a sacrifice to God shall be destroyed. To inform you, a dasha slaughtering is a type of worship performed inside the temple. So therefore, the Torah tells you the only way you put to death if you worship an idol is if you do it the way you worship the Eibishter Chas v'Shalom. That means you do whatever in the Gemara, you do everything that's done in the Beis Hamikdash. So if it's done like you spill wine that's poured in the Beis Hamikdash, you bring a carbon sacrifice, that's the way you're liable for death when it comes to the concept of worshiping other idols. Or the way the idol is worshipped, if you go learn the halachas of worshiping idols. It also can include the one who burns incense to perform libations, which is type of worship performed in the temple. People are liable for performing them for idol, whether or not it's customary to worship a particular deity in that manner. However, other types of worship, for example, one sweeps, sprinkles water or on the sand floor before the idol, embraces it, kisses it, he's not liable to death, but he's warned against it. He is liable to receive lashes. So you have to. There's two ways where you can be put to death in the Torah for the concept of idol worship. Number one, if you worship the idol the way the idol was worshipped. Number two, if you worship the idol, even it's not the way that's worshipped, but you worship the way you worship HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Beis Hamikdash, then you are put to death because you brought a carbon. So that's what the Yidden did in the Beis Hamikdash. They brought karbanos to the Eibishter, to God, that they brought a carbon to an idol, even though it wasn't the way it's done to this idol, you're still chayiv misa. Verse number 20. You're not allowed to mistreat a stranger, nor shall you oppress him. He gave them a Yisrael Eretz were strangers in the land of Egypt. Now she says this is a taunting of words. You're not allowed to do it. You're not allowed to taunt a person that he's a stranger. Oppression, verbal oppression. You're not allowed to rob him. Think that since he's a stranger, he's not part of the Jewish nation, I can pain him. He gave him a yisem. If you would taunt him, he could have also taunt you and say this to you. You're also animated from strangers. Do not reproach your neighbor with fault that is also yours. Every expression of stranger means a person who was not born in the country, but has come from another country to sojourn, to come and live there. You have to be nice to immigrants. You're not oppress a widow and an orphan. She says, you're not oppress a widow and an orphan, you're not oppress anybody. The same applies to all people. The Torah tells you, speaks of a usual situation, self-understood, they're vulnerable. Orphan and a widow is vulnerable. Since the widow and the orphan are weak and they are frequently oppressed, and therefore the Torah warns you oppressing those that are vulnerable. Verse 22, Kintana Tana say, if you will oppress them, then they will cry out to me, I'll hear their cry. Now she says, this verse is short. Threatening punishment it doesn't explain its punishment. Therefore, this similar to therefore whoever kills Cain, it's a threat, but doesn't delineate the punishment. The Torah doesn't say what is the punishment. Here too, if you oppress him, it's the expression of a threat. If you oppress the orphan, you will ultimately see what's coming to you. Doesn't say exactly what it is. The next verse says it. He cries out to me. You cry out to me, and I'll slay you with a sword. I'll make your wives to be widowers, and your children to be orphans. She says, from the implication of what is said, and I will slay you. Do I not know that your wives will be widows, and your children will be orphans? Why did the Torah continue? Rather, it's another curse, namely, that the wives will be bound to living widowhood. There'll be what will happen is that the person will be killed, and they won't be witnesses that he's killed. So we won't know that if he's really dead, and that's called an aguna. So now the wife is a widow forever, and he cannot marry. Children will be orphans because the court will not allow them to have the father's property, because they'll say there's no proof that he died, so you cannot inherit anything from him. And that's what the Torah says. It'll be a double punishment. That a person will be killed, will die, but the family will not know if he's dead or not. Verse 24. Kesef tal v'sami. You lend money to my people, to another Jew. Esani imach, the poor man who is with you. Leisiya kenosha. Do not behave to him as a lender. He says, Simel Neshech, you're not allowed to put interest upon him. You're not allowed to lend to a Jew an interest. Rashi says, Rabbi Shmuel says, im, everywhere it says in the Torah, im is usually if, except 3 times in the Torah that it's not if. And this is one of them, because this is not an optional thing. It means you should. It's an obligation to help another person that's in need. So to lend them money. That's one of the Rambam writes is one of the highest levels of charity. As Ami, if a member of my people of Jews and a Gentile apply a loan, what does it mean? What does the Torah tell us? That if 2 people are in need of money, one is a Yid and one's not a Jew, my people take preference. That's the first person you should help as a Jew. You should help a guy too, but first a Jew. If the poor person and a rich person apply for a loan, the poor person takes preference. If a poor person in your city and a poor person in another city, the poor people of your city take preference. And this is the meaning. When you lend money, lend it to my people and not to a Gentile. And which my people? The poor person. You might say, why will I lend money to a poor person? A rich person, I know he's going to pay me back. The poor person, he might not pay me back. So no, you have to lend to the poor person. And to which poor person? The one who's with you. Meaning, if you have enough money to lend to only one person, lend it to the Jew rather than to the non-Jew. Even if the Gentile will pay interest. And you are not allowed to take interest from the Jew. You must lend the money to the Jew. Another meaning, my people, you shall not behave towards him, the borrower, in a demeaning manner when you lend him the money. He's a member of my people. So ani imach, look at yourself as if you were a poor person. Look, don't treat a poor person as beneath you. Ani imach is with you. If you lend money to somebody, you shouldn't become a noisha. You shall not demand it from forcibly. If you know that he does not have the money to repay you, do not appear to him as if you have lent it to him, but as if you have not lent it to him. Do not embarrass him. That's the hardest thing. That's why it's the greatest mitzvah to lend money, because you shouldn't be k'noisha. You're not allowed to make the person feel that suddenly you're saying shalom aleichem to him because you want to remind them of the loan. Neshech, what's a neshech? She says, neshech is ribis. You now take interest. Why is it called neshech? Which is being like a snake, which bites by making small wounds in a person's foot, and the person doesn't even feel it, the wound. Suddenly it spreads and swells up as far as his crown. So is interest. You don't feel it. Person doesn't feel the interest right away. But then you have to come and pay the interest. It's a problem with credit cards. You got to come and pay the interest. Then it bites you. Not noticeable until the interest accumulates and it costs him a considerable sum of money. Verse 25. If you take your neighbor's garment as security for a loan, until the sunset, you shall return it to him. Now she says in Chavot, the expression Chabola means security, given at a time of a loan, but that which is exacted from the debtor when the debt becomes due, and the debtor does not have the time to can't pay. So what happens is, take a security, a guarantee, guarantor, whatever guarantee that you're gonna pay me. So I take your garment. Well, Yaakov takes Shimon's garment as a guarantor, and now he didn't pay in time. So now he keeps the garment. So it repeats the taking of security, implying that one may take security even many times. Oh, blessed be thee, how much you owe me. Yet your soul ascended to me every night, gives an account, is found guilty before me, and I return it to you. Right? I gave you a loan. I gave you a neshama. I give you the loan, and every night you come, the neshama comes back, and it's always in debt. I gave you a loan to that you're not going to abuse the loan, and every time the neshama comes back, it comes back gehacked and tzitz, and I send it back next day, fresh. So too, don't treat somebody else's loan, somebody else's guaranteed product, the collateral. Adba Hashem and for the entire day you shall return it to him until the sun sets. And when the sun sets, you may again take it until the next morning. The verse speaks of a garment worn by day, which is not needed at night. So we're talking about a poor man. If he took a garment, a daytime garment, you got to give it to him in the daytime to wear, and give it back and take it back at night. If it's a night garment, you give it back to him at night and take it in the day. Yihi ksusa levadahi simlasa later. This is the only covering. He's a poor man. It's the garment for his skin. But my yishka, what is he going to lie down at night with? He's not going to give him the pajamas. He'll cry out to me. So look, I have no garment. The guy took my garment from me. I don't even have a garment to wear. Shamati, and I will hear his cry. Yichananoni, because I am gracious. This is a cloak. Some losses or challah, this is a shirt. But my yishka, even his includes the spreads of his bed. He took his linen. You have to give it back to him. So therefore, you learn the law of lending. That's why again the Rambam writes the greatest level of tzedakah. The Rambam gives you the levels of tzedakah. The greatest level of tzedakah is somebody who loans somebody money. We now go to the Tanya of today. We're in the middle of the 25th chapter of Tanya. Discussion till now centered on the category of turning away from evil, how we how a yid can easily, in a way, awaken up his neshama and reveal his true desire, his true yearning, his true commitment, and his true connection to God that every yid has. Doesn't make a difference who he is, what level he is. Every Jew has a chelek elakam emal mamish. Every Jew has a godly soul, which this godly soul has one concept that has a yearning for godliness. It has no interest in anything else, but its connection to God, its yearning of God, its love of God, its commitment to godliness, because it is godliness. So therefore, it's easily, in a way, instead of contemplating, meditating, and fighting with one's Yetzer Hara, thus reveal your godly soul. Thus reveal the truth of who you are. And your Yetzer Hara has no fight against that. It can fight against your rationalization. It can fight against the way you think, but it cannot fight against your godly neshama. Because once you reveal godliness, your nefesh habahamis has no challenge to godliness. The Alter Rebbe showed one can utilize his hidden love of God in refraining from sin. Right? You can say, I don't want to be stupid. I don't want to be a moment of folly. I don't want to be a moment of separation. Great idea. I know I desire it. I know that I want to do it, but this aspect that you're asking me to do is going to sunder me, is going to separate me from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, from God. And since I love God, I might openly love God, but I truly love God. Every Jew loves the Eibishter. That's his ava that he has to God. It's a natural ava to God. So that's it. He'll never do a sin. So too, now he goes to the category of doing good. Discusses the use of the hidden love in leading one to perform all positive commandments. So to the category of doing good, one can employ the power of this hidden love to strengthen himself like a lion, with might, determination of the heart. He can use it out against his evil nature, which weighs down his body. Umapel olav atzla, and he casts him into into depression, sloth. Offer, which is the foundation of earth, which is in the animal soul, which the Alter Rebbe mentioned in the beginning of Tanya. That we have four principles of midas rayis, evil tendencies, which come from our nefesh habahamis, from our animalistic soul, which one of them is eish, ruach, mayim, osha, fire, anger, ruach, civility, mayim, desires, and afar. Afar is earth. Procrastination. I'll do it tomorrow. Or depression. What happens? The more I connect to my nefesh habahamis, the more I connect to my animalistic soul, the more I become that's heavy. I become heavy. The Mishnah says, Kal kanesha. Person should be light as legal. I can't. My nefesh habahamis makes me heavy. Brings me down. Milatria gufay. The laziness prevents him from exerting his body energetically with every type of effort. My nefesh habahamis tries every way that I should not serve the Eibishter. To restrain him in the service God that entails effort and toil. I have no koyach. Suddenly, when it comes to Torah mitzvahs, I have no strength. And everything is done quickly. And I have no patience. For example, the learning of Torah. Be'iyun u'beper, with deconcentration. And to say it orally. Lo possible megis, until your mouth doesn't stop saying. Your nefesh habahamis says, no. You have no koyach to do that. You don't have time. You don't have patience. You don't have concentration. The more my Yetzer Hara doesn't give me the capability of concentration. As our sages said, a man shall always submit to the words of the Torah, ox to its yoke, and a donkey to its load. Just like, for sure, if you put labor upon yourself when it comes to worldly issues and worldly matters, you should put labor when it comes to Torah. Don't take Torah, the learning of Torah, as you're reading some novel. It's a nice, I'm gonna learn Torah to, use my time. Or to find a good vart, to hear an inspiring word. No, I need to work on it. As Rashi says, you should labor in the words of Torah. Labor. Because then it's important to you. Just like it's understandable to work and to be successful, you need to labor. You need to labor in the words of Torah. You need to work in the words of Torah. Why, when it comes to davening, we don't have patience? No patience. We're in a rush. We're looking at our clocks. You need to learn. You need to daven. Concentrate in davening. With all your strength. Hashem. And so too the God of serving God. But when it comes to money matters, put yourself into it. Such is the duty of charity. Work hard so you can give more charity. That's when your charity becomes part of your avodah. You're passionate, working hard, so you should be able to give more charity. And that's how your charity becomes part of the service of your labor. And that's why the Torah obligates the concept of meiser. The concept of meiser, a tithing of your Torah. The Torah says, don't just chance, decide a general number. You need to know how much you have to give in meiser. It's part of your labor. Tenth of your labor. And you should work harder, so your 10th should be more. Actually, it tells you your rest, the 90% is on the 10%. How much your 10% you're going to give to tzedakah, that's how much 90% you're going to receive. Doesn't go the other way. You're 90%. Now you have 10%. No, your 10% is what makes the 90%. It's tzedakah decides how much is going to be the 90%. And according to that, that's how much you're going to make 90%. So therefore, you should labor for the tzedakah. And the more you can give tzedakah, the 10%, the more you're going to labor for the 10%, the more you're going to have the 90%. And that's called a person that is given over. It's not a secondary issue. Yiddishkeit is not a secondary concept. Yiddishkeit is the purpose, is his concept. Whether it's davening, whether it's learning, whether it's tzedakah, that's the purpose why he came down to the world. That's his true love. That's his true purpose. That's the reason why when this neshama, my neshama, came down into my physical body. That was the whole purpose. Everything else is because of that purpose. Everything else that I have in life, all the success in the monetary world, all the beauty and everything is all that I should be able to learn more Torah. I should be able to daven longer. I should be able to give more tzedakah. And that is the purpose why my neshama came down to the world. And that's what a person has to talk to himself. Because that's the truth. That is the emes. That is what a neshama is there for. Self-understood neshama cannot accomplish in all these three levels of Torah, of Aveda, Gemilas Hasadim, Ashleish Dvarim, Ha'elam Eimed. The world stands on three things, and my learning of Torah, my davening, and my tzedakah. That's the reason why this whole world is here. That's the reason why my neshama came down to us, to make sure that my learning is even better every day. My davening is even stronger every day. And my tzedakah becomes more and more every single day. That completes the Tanya of the day. And today is the 27th day of the month, which is chapter 120 to chapter 134. Chapter 120 to chapter 134. Mitchum, tonight, continue the class that was put out by JLI, Advice for Life. And I invite you all to come to Chabad, or you can come on Zoom and come and learn beautiful advice of the Rebbe, as we just learned advice from the Alter Rebbe. We'll learn advice from the Rebbe in our day-to-day service of God. I wish you all a wonderful day, beautiful day. And Mitchell, we'll see you all tomorrow at 8 o'clock. We'll continue the Chitas of the day.